How do you think you'll be able to manage the work, the community, and the local government responsibilities that come with the office of a councillor?
Yeah, it's a good question, Nirmalji. Thank you very much for that. I'm a civil engineer, worked for 20 years with Indian Railways, and
How do you think you can contribute from your professional side into making the developmental process faster and better and efficient in your local government?
I can speak the language of our planning department, of our directors, because I can talk about National Building Code of Australia.
One of the biggest thing which has been said about local governments working in multicultural sphere is that their all activities are limited only to arranging song and dance and basically some food festivals. There's nothing more the local governments do, which actually doesn't help the inclusion of those communities into the wider Australian community.
Yeah, that's what.
Do you think local governments have a place to get into running businesses at a loss at ratepayers' expenses when those expenses or services can be delivered by private players at market prices?
Government doesn't have any business in businesses job.
Many local governments have already adopted the policy, which is encroaching on what I think is on private property rights of citizens and ratepayers. What's your view?
The community is clearly passionate about preserving some important mature trees. I have seen a genuine distress.
Hello, all. Welcome to the next conversation in Perth Dialogues. I'm very pleased to have a very own Surya Ambati ji. He is very well known in the Indian community and the wider Blue Wave multicultural community as well. He is a prolific professional. I've known him for so many years. He is a civil engineer, rail engineer, what I wanted to do some time back, couldn't get into. I did civil engineering, so rail engineering is a lovely field for me. He has worked in many big organizations in WA, big projects. So we'll talk about hopefully. Also, apart from that, he was the president of Indian Society of WA, another big challenge and big work to do. He's been very active in multicultural and community leadership space in WA. And now he was also a member of the WA Ministerial Multicultural Advisory Council. And now he's put up his hand. He is never to stop. He can't stop Suryaji. So now he's put up his hand for the Applecross-Mount Pleasant ward in city of Melville.
Yes.
Yeah, so a distinguished professional career, a distinguished multicultural and community life. And we are so pleased and so privileged to have you, Suryaji.
Thank you, Nirmalji. Hi, audience. It's an opportunity to talk to you all. It's my privilege, and I don't think I deserve so much of introduction. I'm a simple person like everyone. I'm a family person and live like you in our suburb of Brentwood, which is part of the Applecross Mount Pleasant ward in the city of Melville. And Australia welcomed with open heart when 18 years ago, for me and my children, my wife, we migrated to Australia. And my kids went to local high school, Rospine Senior High School, and they're well settled now. One is a doctor, other one is an engineer. We are doing very well. And also for about 12 years, I worked for the Indian community in various developments, and also constructed Australia's first Indian community center. Planned, designed, it's a dream of more than 50 years for the community, which is more than 100,000 people in Western Australia. So not in Melbourne, not in Sydney, but in Perth. So that's the greatness. And community donated more than $500,000 for the community center. And I'm very happy to lead. I may be the front end, but there are many volunteers behind me and patting my back. Surya, we are all with you. Go ahead. That was the. So I did a lot of work for the community, Indian community particularly, and this is the time to help our service to the wider community of Western Australia, I thought I should start from my own ward where I live. So, Applecross-Mount Pleasant ward. So, I would like to see whether I can represent the ward for the city of Melville and see what betterments we can do, like security, safety, traffic, many other issues. I will explain more as we speak. Thank you, Nirmalji, for the opportunity.
It's a great opportunity for me to learn from such big professionals. Let's start from start. You came as a civil engineer to Australia. Civil engineering is a tough profession, not in the sense of the work itself, but the environment in which you work. Tough terrains, going out, not in the Perth CBD, not in an office most of the time. And you were still doing the community work as well, which is takes another kind of a toll. So how do you think you will be able to manage the work, the community, and the local government responsibilities that come with the office of a councillor?
Yeah, it's a good question, Nirmalji. Thank you very much for that. I'm a civil engineer, worked for 20 years with Indian Railways, and I came with a lot of experience and knowledge and leadership qualities. And then from the last 18 years, I was working for multiple professional organizations like GHD and Caliber and Roy Hill. While working not only in railway sector, other I worked in other sectors particularly. So in mining, I worked across FMG, BHP, Rio Tinto, and of course Roy Hill. So those organizations and also Public Transport Authority. I was part of the feasibility study from Perth to Bunbury, fast train. So within 90 minutes, how can we get the Bunbury people to Perth through using the Mandra line? That also I had done the feasibility. So I got good experience of the Western Australia and the state. So what the economy runs here. The question that civil engineering is a very good profession. You can develop so much of infrastructure. So that advantage I had took and I had developed it. I'm a project manager, engineering manager with an MBA from UWA, and I went to Harvard Business School to get some business studies and leadership studies. And I graduated from Harvard Business School, Boston. So of course I was driving on the other side of the road there. That's a different question, but it was all good. Means I got sufficient knowledge and qualifications. So and I'm very well settled. So this is the time I should look after my people where I am living. Who is looking after, who looked after me? The Australia, Western Australia, city of Melville, the Applecross-Mount Pleasant ward. It has three suburbs, Applecross, Mount Pleasant, and Brentwood, and live in the ward. So there are, for example, there are some petty cases and traffic problems and all those things I'm solving, I'm trying to solve, talking to the people. As part of this, as part of understanding local requirements, instead of me telling to the people what are assuming people what their problems are, I walked to almost more than 6,000 houses out of 7,000 houses and consulted nearly 500 residents with a feedback form, trying to get what are the issues they have. Tree canopies, for example. Someone is poisoning some 50 years, 100 years old trees. We we want our kids, grandkids to live in the same trees where we are enjoying. So there are so many other issues which I was not aware. The community has got an excellent knowledge. If you go into the community trying to understand their requirements, what they would like to from the city local government, which is the first point of contact, not the state government, not the federal government. They look at if the road or lighting or security, safety, and traffic and parking. People look at the local government. That's the main reason that I'm trying to getting into local government and trying to give back to my community, service to the community.
From your professional experience, there's two sides coming in together. One is the engineering side, which the local government is very much involved in development applications and developing the local government area which it is responsible for. Other is the community side that is coming in from you, which is working with the people, consultations, surveys, and developing policies. How do you think you can contribute from your professional side into making the developmental process faster and better and efficient in your local government?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question, Nirmal. I can speak the language of our planning department, of our directors, because I can talk about National Building Code of Australia, our uh, planning policies, and any other issues. So I don't need to study them. Most of them I'm aware of. So I can from day one, what should be the ramp, how the parking should be provided in the multi-story buildings, why they are required, not just for the residents, but also for the visitors. So how the planning approval should take place, like Canning Bridge area. So that development required. So people are thinking about piecemeal development. We should look at holistic development. Multi-story buildings, some of already there. I was talking to one of the residents today. The government thinking that okay, we got a Canning Bridge railway station. People can take a bike or they can walk to the train station and they can go to the city or take a public transport. Not everyone uses the public transport. We need to have proper parking facilities at every train station or ferry station, wherever they are. So people prefers to go by their cars. Some old people, particularly those who can't even really walk faster, they can drive the car. So we should look after people's need. So what our people wants basically, it's not that we should impose something on them which they don't want. It's a democracy. And with my infrastructure knowledge, with my civil engineering knowledge, and also business knowledge like business administration, I did my MBA. I got a high distinction in my project management as a subject in the MBA from UWA. And Harvard Business School education is the top class education. That changes my life completely. How to look at holistic view instead of just looking at a small pigeonhole attitude or something like that. That gives me an overall picture. And also, I have decided I will stand for what's right for our community.
And this is what I was coming into, is that when you led the ISWA, you were leading a large group of those smaller community organizations, but that's leadership. In this role, they will be guiding you on what they want next in the local government. How will you manage that change, and how will you bring your experience from ISWA into this role?
Yeah, ISWA, the Indian Society of Western Australia, the peak body of 140 different organizations. So it's not that, India is a multi-diverse, multicultural country. Similarly, there are different organizations, different associations, different individuals with a different mindset on there. I could able to do, unite all of them under one umbrella for the betterment of the community. The Indian Community Center, which was developed not just for the Indian community, it is for the wider community, and diverse communities are being used. There's no restriction whether to use by Indians or Sri Lankans or Pakistanis. Anyone can use that community center. So that was the way that we look at. So people said that you united all Indians under one group, so you can definitely work on. It's quite easy in Australia, Applecross-Mount Pleasant Ward and the city of Melville, working on the requirements. Some lighting, for example, there needs to be a extra light somewhere because of the dark spot. I was talking to local residents. I was telling to the city from the last so many years, we need a light here. No one bothered about that. That costs only less than $1,000. Those sort of things we can definitely organize that. I'm a team player, as you said. I would like to talk to all my fellow councillors and mayor and provide what is really required to the community and based on the community inputs. So this survey, the feedback form, what I am doing that went going to nearly 7,000 houses. Thanks to my volunteers, I visited 6,000 houses. Volunteers have gone to another 1,000 houses, and we covered every house in Applecross-Mount Pleasant ward, almost every house. So they have given the feedback. Based on the feedback, based on the community requirements, we are working on how to go for there. So I'm making the priorities. So most of the people, they were talking about the parking. So that is the top priority. Others are destruction of the trees, environment, tree canopies, providing shelters. We need about 30% of green spaces. So covers. Those are the issues, and we'll make it happen. It may be slow, but definitely will go in the right direction. And cost of living, for example, rates. Some of the residents, they were talking about why we are increasing the rates too much. Why can't we stick to the CPI, Consumer Price Index? That's a very good suggestion. And there are other suggestions like how to collect the bulk waste. There are suggestions that some of the tree areas where there are so many falling of leaves, the fogo bin, the green bin, is not sufficient. So we can provide additional green bins to those residents who are suffering with the tree falls, like leaves or even some small branches or something like that. Those are the very small. Say for example, 500 houses. We don't need to spend a lot of money on that. So maybe $5,000. Those are the areas we can definitely improve immediately. And so some are really interested in the flora and fauna, and they're genuine concerns. Like cats, for example, outdoor cats, they are killing local small animals. City of Melville has done a great job in bringing the cat laws. So they're restricting the number of cats and allowing even the fence height of the neighbors. Those are sort of good things they are doing. So we can still do much better things. So that's the ambition for me, to going forward, to work with the city and for my people, to do a service to them, understand their requirements. One more important thing I'm telling to them, all my community, I would like to have a quarterly ward forums. Every 3 months, I will have a forum, and it's a properly, not just for name's sake. It will have a proper agenda. We'll take down all the minutes, notes, and then circulate to those who have attended the all residents. And then after 3 months, next in the next meeting, whether these have been actioned or not, what is done, what is yet to be done, why this has not been done, it will be clearly provided black and white to them. So that's the transparent thing. And the budget also, we don't want to waste even a single dollar. Every dollar is community money. It's not money, your money. It's the community money. I can buy a coffee of $5, but I cannot waste even a single dollar of the community. That's a very important aspect in community service, looking after even all these Indians. They respect me, not just Indians, other community like Chinese, Malaysians, Sri Lankans, whoever, other ministerial multicultural communities. They respect me because I am honest and sincere. I would like to provide what is required, and I will talk the walk the talk, whatever means. So I will do whatever it is required for the community, and I'll stick to my words. For example, the mobile phone I'm providing, that's my personal mobile phone. The address I'm providing at the bottom is my own home address. So I normally available throughout the day. In the evenings also I'm available. And also I respond to every email within 12 hours. If somebody sends me an email, Surya, what has happened to this or how you are going to do that? Within 12 hours, they will get a response. So I got a dedicated website, ambati.com.au. My email address, surya@ambati.com.au. I will monitor that email every day, every time, and respond within 12 hours. So this is the way I'm going to work, and I'm working. So that's the reason people respect me. Yeah, Surya is the man of words. And I'm telling once again, I will stand what's right for our community.
You have a big plan. There's a lot of questions from there. Let's start from the first at the very top. One of the biggest thing which has been said about local governments working in multicultural sphere is that their all activities are limited only to arranging song and dance and basically some food festivals. There's nothing more the local governments do, which actually doesn't help the inclusion of those communities into the wider Australian community. Do you think you can or we can do something better within the same revenue funding that we do?
Yeah, that's what. See, instead of me telling what is required, the community is telling me, right? So you may be genuine that we don't need to have that song and dance, but some may be requiring that. They want to integrate with the wider community. There's nothing wrong to have. So, and most of the events are sponsored by some of the business people, some of the local businesses, and it's a win-win. If we organize that festival, like food festival, that provides employment to locals. So not everything is bad or anything like that. There is a good side of the coin. And also most of the city governments and local governments, they are doing, and they will now get the knowledge from a multicultural person who got an award as a multicultural excellence award for 2023. By the way, it means there were so many lawyers, doctors, engineers, and community servants, and others were there. So out of the 21, I got the multicultural excellence award for the service I have done to the community. So now, if I'm elected, so local government, city of Melville will have a community ambassador, multicultural ambassador, who knows what exactly the requirements of the people. So we can tailor make some of the things, like some not just multicultural but wider community. So they all have specific needs. Some are not too costly to address, so they are easy to address. And I am honest and upfront. I am not going to listen to any lobbies or anything. It's the community first. Democracy we are in. So whatever community wants, we can do that. We should do that.
The other thing that you talked about is the budget and then keeping the rates towards that CPI mark. One of the challenges that people face in participating in a local government's budget process is that the budget process starts somewhere in December. But people get to see only in June when they are to be published and they are to be voted on. People are not participating in that budget formation process. How do you think you can change that process in Melville?
So people are being part of the budget process. The councillors, for example, they are elected by the people, their representatives. Each ward has two councillors. So they are participating and going back to the community. Before even going into the participation session, what are the priorities they were identifying? Each ward are holistic to the city. I think definitely people are participating in that. We want a transparency in that. Transparency means whatever funds we are allocating for which account and how we are doing, so that should be visible to the people. That's what people want basically. And it's a fundamental to democratic accountability. Transparency is the fundamental. So it should be deliberately keeps residents in the dark if we don't show them what it is required. And the money what we are getting after paying so much of taxes, like we pay income tax, GST, land tax, and also rates. and only this much money is left. Within that money, how we are going to use, even the amount that city is collecting in terms of rates or anything like that, that should be visible, properly accountable. So yes, I'm going to get the transparency part, and already community is involved. The 3 monthly forums, like quarterly ward forums, that will facilitate. First ward forum will discuss what are the priorities, how much money should be allocated, and discuss with other councillors and mayor, and then provide to the CEO of the city, so what their budget allocations are, where it is required, and discuss open and honest conversations. That way, so we can make sure that these things will be done. I will give some of the examples here. Like there is a project, that project of repairing or renovating one of the parks. So that project is long funded. We are not spending the money in a proper way and completing the project. So it's a time overrun and cost overrun. So, and also some of the services people are not happy. Like, for example, previously we used to have veg collection. So on a particular day in a year, so bulk waste were collected. So people are thinking that without consulting them, that process have been changed now. That is removed, and you call a contractor. They will come maybe after 1 month or so. They will come and pick up those bulk waste. So they got genuine concerns. So those all should be accounted properly. And also monthly budget meetings. Residents should can receive what was the budget allocation under each head, how much money has been spent, and why the money has been spent or why not it has been spent, and it can be available. And also real time online dashboard, for example, public can track the capital works progress. Not the cities doing everything by themselves. Mostly they are engaging the contractors. It is not that difficult nowadays with the computers and all. So there can be a website where we can trace or track all the expenditure. So it can be public tracking capital works progress, showing whether potholes repairs, for example, at Blue Gum tennis court entry, somewhere like other funded or scheduled programs. And also residents could prioritize spending on activity once, like twice a year veg collection and other areas. So these are all few examples, but real budget transparency means residents understand throughout the year where their money is going and can influence spending priorities before decisions are made, and can hold council accountable for delivering on commitments. Hope I answered your question.
Yeah, there's another part of this question is that there's many. I live in city of Bayswater, and they release their whole asset list that they have, and if I'm correct, it runs into billions. The whole asset that they have. Many of the programs and services that they run, they're not even breaking even, which means first they need capital expenses to start the building and the program, and then it needs annual more money from ratepayers to just keep the services going. While there'll be other service providers across the city delivering similar services. Do you think local governments have a place to get into running businesses at a loss at ratepayers' expenses when those expenses or services can be delivered by private players at market prices?
It's a good question, Nirmalji. Government doesn't have any business in businesses. The businesses should run their businesses. The government can provide the guidelines, the rules or regulations, but it is up to the private people to run their businesses. That's Australia. That's a good thing about Australia. We don't do everything by government. Other areas, it's not a socialist or communist country. So it's a free enterprise. Government role should be minimal, but at the same time, look after the people what their requirements are. So that's your question is a fair question. So I think that we should limit which is not required to. So, but in terms of some of the areas, like there needs to be a coffee shop somewhere. So that coffee shop in a critical area, but no private people will be coming there with that actually that much money or anything like that. Even if they run that coffee shop, they will be going under laws. There, the government should come with a bit of lenience or something like that. So government should look after that. Okay, we'll give some concession or anything like that. So a reasonable price for that renting the area, so that it is sustainable. So again, everything should be kept in mind with the people, what the people wants. So if the people want, there should be a coffee shop at this park, though there may not be many people coming regularly, but some people will be coming only particular timing. I'm just giving you some small example that. So then that should be run, means provided at a discounted price by the government. There's no harm in that. Again, it's all dependent on people's requirements.
There's another question around the similar topic is that many local governments run programs for aged cohort or youth cohort or women. For example, Sterling, I think, runs a food van for people at home, maybe aged people. City of Bayswater was running a vaccination program till recently. They've stopped it now. They've been caused to start it again. The question is that these services duplicate what the state government is already doing. So, should the local government be entering using ratepayers to duplicate services, or should they be keeping within their bounds of what their local government act is and becoming more efficient in doing those things?
Yeah, you are right, Nirmal. So if those type of community programs for aged and youth or women vaccinations, etc., are being done by state and federal governments, and the local government should focus on core local services rather than doing these programs that duplicate state and federal services. I fully agree with that. When councils expand into areas outside their expertise and mandate, they divert resources, you know that, right, from essential local services. This again creates rate increases for services, so for residents. So I'll give you some examples in here. One Mr. Smith, I'm not going to name the first name, emphasizing roads and footpaths improvements, completed playgrounds like one of the park project, restored veg collections and all. They are their priorities. Local government should concentrate on them. Efficient aged care approach. So aged care services concerns better addressed using existing rooms in large buildings for low cost community activities. And one of the residents have told me that. And other council areas like providing community center space for vaccination programs make sense, but council should not running own vaccination program which duplicates health department expertise. So youth facilities also similar, like resident requests should target spaces and equipment rather than programming better handling of the schools and youth organizations. Here, every dollar we spend on duplicated services is a dollar not available for fixing roads, maintaining parks, or delivering the core local services that only council can provide. So, in nutshell, council should do what its core job is and leave the work of the state and federal government activities to them.
One of the big promises, and I think the area in which the very new members and existing councillors also advocate for is more patrolling by the rangers in the local area, having more CCTVs in the name of community safety, getting safety and people. But there's a view that this is replicating what the WA police should be doing. Community safety and policing is a WA police job. Local government should not be getting involved in this. And it also potentially gives a wrong impression that rangers can come and sort policing issues, which they can't. They are for local government issues. Do you think we can make it better?
Yeah, means whether if your question is whether the local government should get into the safety of the community, yes, safety of the community is the responsibility of every one of us, including the community, state government, federal government, police, and also local government. Everybody should look after each other. They're all our mates. And the local government community initiatives can complement police work effectively when they address genuine community identified problems. And we should not duplicate those police activities, right? And you know that police, they got so many cases. You cannot have every second citizen as a police. So their resources are stretched. Somebody has to come for their rescue. So the police are there for major crimes and emergency responses, and creating community safety or gap or anything like targeted local initiatives, that will be very difficult for police to handle. Yeah, anyone can dial 000 for any small incident. Is it right? No, it is smaller incidents can be handled locally. So we can leave the police for bigger areas where it is required. So I mean to say that police are there to look after bigger picture, but local government should see also look after the community safety and security. The CCTVs in certain areas definitely deter those miscreants, the thieves, the robbers. They will see that, oh, there is a CCTV there. They don't know whether it's working or not, but it deters them. So that's a good thing. But again, we should balance between privacy as well as the requirement of the safety. So these are all, for example, there was specific reports car break-ins are happening from morning 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. So the security patrolling should be intensified there. If the security van goes at that time, the car break-ins will be reduced. And also, CCTVs will be useful in gathering the evidence. It's very, very clear that police can't do everything, not everywhere, anywhere in the world. There should be some support. This is an opportunity for the local government to help them in doing a bigger role. So the test for any community safety initiative should be, does this fill a genuine gap identified by residents while complementing rather than competing with police work? I hope I have answered your question.
It is a fair point, and I understand that as long as the local government is filling a gap and not trying to duplicate something, fair enough, we all support it.
Exactly, Nirmal. It's what I understand that local government's role is, and the local government should not duplicate the police job.
You also talked, and which is a very big topic, especially in local government area, is to increase the tree canopy and greenery in local governments. One of the policies that many local government have implemented or are implementing is the Valga draft policy of the local governments now requiring development applications for trees even on private land. You know, we have an Australian dream that once one day I'll have a house, there'll be a big backyard, I'll do my gardening there, I'll have a tree, one or two, whatever. Over the years, I've grown one tree. Now, suddenly, the local government comes and says, it's your tree on your private land, but I want to control it. You want to do anything on this? Come to me in a development application so some bureaucrat in the local government can decide what I can do or not do. I think many local governments have already adopted the policy, which is encroaching on what I think is on private property rights of citizens and ratepayers. What's your view?
You're right, Nirmal ji. So the tree protection policies must balance legitimate environmental concerns with reasonable property rights, focusing on genuinely significant trees rather than bureaucratic overreach. This is really important thing, and you have rightly pointed out that the community is clearly passionate about preserving some important mature trees. I have seen a genuine distress about like 50 Matheson Road. However, blanket restrictions that treat every tree identically can create unnecessary bureaucracy. I agree with you. For property owners, while failing to protect the trees that really matter to community character. So I got so many examples here. Genuine people have told me clearly, Miss Thompson at 50 Matheson Road tree, she was there for decades there. She was looking there. And it's a mature tree. And somebody poisoned that. So she couldn't sleep for many nights. So that's a genuine thing basically. And also expert involvement is required, not just the bureaucratic process. If the bureaucracy or the present system, they thinks that some of the trees in the private properties are required to be, that should be weighed properly. So, private property, what is meant by private property? It is our property. It is residents' property. We should have a say whether what is required. If we don't have the say, suppose I want to grow a big mango tree at my backyard. So if it grows very high, for example, and it is going to damage my foundations of the house, or I should have the say whether should cut or not. After certain age of the particular tree, you may not get fruits, maybe 40 years, 50 years. So they should be, I should have the right to say that. It is not the bureaucrats. So I agree with you. Experts should be involved. If in the private property, some of the trees should be retained, but not just like as a blanket check that, okay, every property for every development application to cut any tree, so we should take permission. So we should balance between those two. So I hope I answered you, but it is not, there's no straight cut answer for that. So it depends on what type of tree, where it is, how it is, and whether it's in the private property for how long. Is it really useful for any community, giving green shade, or there are so many birds dependent on that? What type of compensation we are providing to the private people? All this is required to before putting the condition that you cannot cut this tree on your own property.
Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations on this topic, and many people have said that when people have trees in their backyard or front yard or anywhere in their private property, we should be encouraging and commending them that you have done a good job. You've given your private property to have that tree which benefits all community. We shouldn't be penalizing them for having the tree.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that. It's not penalizing, like many generations might be there, they have planted the tree. So even sometimes some of the trees may be useful for the entire community, not just the resident. So this should be weighed properly. But in a general principle, you should not get involved into private property business.
yeah. Suryaji, there's another which is a topic which is very close to many people who actually want to participate in local government issues is that when a local government develops a motion or issue to be discussed in the council, they have got 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. They develop this policy as a process in the city. But when it's published for public consultation for giving their views, people get only about 3 days, 4 days, a week to put in their views, and then another week possibly when the council discusses those motions. So people might not know this, they don't get enough time. And I've seen my agenda for the local government, it runs into 300 pages, 400 pages. People are not used to reading those legalese language to participate fully. What are your views on how we can make this better for more participation from residents in the local government decision making?
Yeah, you are extremely right. This should not have happened. This should not be allowed. The current policy development process deliberately excludes residents from meaningful participation, creating decisions that lack community input and often miss practical implementation issues. And let me give some examples. There is one St. Michel Terrace Child Care Center which is being proposed now by the side of Mount Pleasant Primary School. So their residents were given almost no notice, 1 or 2 weeks notice for that. Greg Polan, Frankie Redicke, and others just trying to 123 additional children will be there in the residential area for the daycare. For the daycare for the kids, and there will be 28 staff members will be there. So, what will happen in the residential area? There will be many more cars coming in the morning and going in the evening, and staff cars and parking facilities that are required. The attribute to the residential area, the residential streets, they're already narrow. If you start parking on both the sides or one side of the street, so that is not desirable. There are bigger street, arterial roads are there. This can be developed in there. So about 140, 150 people signed a petition and put up to the city of Melville on this issue and told them that if you develop this child care, this is going to happen. We are not against this child care. There are 8 child cares around this area. You are developing one more child care here in the residential area. So why can't you develop somewhere else nearby? So not in the residential area. So that was well received, but community has to come forward for doing this. I appreciate the community taking, not everywhere every time community have that much patience, that much time to make a petition, go to the city council and tell them that this is the community view, please go ahead. And sometimes the councils, they say that okay, they neglect the views of the citizens or the residents. That should not have happened. They should be given top priority in decision making. It's a community led decision making process. So that's why I'm proposing every 3 months, every quarter, have a ward meeting. Entire Applecross-Mount Pleasant and Brentwood suburb people, residents, we meet at one place, a common place, and we discuss what were the issues, what are the issues, what are the developments that are likely to come. Already I'm in the process of talking to many people and then properly minute what the developments are, what are the issues in this development, in this residential area, how we should go with that. That's a very, very, very important thing. It's a democracy, I'm saying again and again and again, that community is should have what their requirements are. Basically, real community engagement means residents help shape policies from the beginning rather than just commenting on predetermined decisions at the end. Hope I have answered you very clear answer.
That's a very, very important point, that the policies should be developed in consultation with the people, not that they are invited at the very end of the consultation process to just say 5 words if they can and if they have enough time to do that.
Nirmalji, I will say one thing here. Some of the people in the planning departments, not only city of Melville but elsewhere, they think that community knows nothing. With my 7,000 or 6,000 houses walk, I understand that community got an excellent knowledge. One gentleman, he was saying that if the road should go through this area and you should divert such a way that there will be less traffic on this road, and they are valid suggestions. The multi-story buildings they are being developed, you must impose upon having parking, basement parking, not only the residents but also visitors. That's a valid suggestion, definitely. And there were suggestions that some development is happening, commercial development is happening, more than $2 million. There was a suggestion that they should also adopt the nearby parks, nearby facilities, and develop them. Why ratepayers have to spend a lot of money for their commercial interests? It should be those who are developing the big apartments. People are calling as apple hutton as a common word now. Multi-story buildings are coming up. It's good. We need multi-story buildings or the houses. There should be appropriately there, but it should be planned such a way that adequate parking is there. There should be roads widened, and they should adopt the local infrastructure, including parks and everything. So that it's a win-win. More people will be there in those areas. At the same time, they get all the facilities, all the developments.
I think it's a very valid. I think this practice is already there in India, where if there is a big project coming up, they will adopt a lot of villages and parks around under CSR, community social responsibility budget, and the whole community benefits, but the community also benefits from the project coming in there. So
My
it's a
dear
win-win
friend,
situation there.
I'm an Australian citizen, and I don't comment on any other country other than Australia. By heart and soul, I'm Australian.
Yeah. There's another big issue concerning local governments is that many local governments, councillors, they join the council, but their eye is on the state election very soon. Many councillors have actually become state members, which then necessitates by elections, which is very costly to the ratepayers, $40,000 to $80,000 for one by election. Do you think there is something to be done to prevent that cost, or it's a democratic right? That's how it is.
I don't have much knowledge on this, particularly what should be done. Means I can't take the side on this because everyone has their own rights to do that. Maybe they should declare upfront that okay, though I'm getting elected now, in the next year, when the state or federal government elections are there, I'm going to contest there, and they should openly tell to the public and the residents. Then the residents will think whether it's worth spending or not. Rather than me and you decide on this, let the residents, the community, the take the blame or whatever role they would like to. I think spending that $40,000 is reasonable or not reasonable. I don't have any opinion on that.
Sure, sure. Another issue that local governments face, and we have been facing, is the very low participation of residents in the election and in general, because the voting is not compulsory. We get to see only about 30% votes being cast, and that is when there is a post in ballots. Votes actually come to you. Still, there is only a 30% voting percentage. How do you think we can increase this, or do you think there is a case for compulsory voting even in local governments?
Compulsory voting, yeah. So in Australia, we are lucky to have compulsory voting for state and federal elections. So, so again, for example, for the state elections in this year, as well as federal elections in this year, we had compulsory voting. So some of the people, they already got the fatigue of this thing. Normally, the 30% voting will be done during the postal ballot as an average. Even this year, it may be even less than 30% because of the fatigue they have. So it's better as a politician, as a community servant, it's better compulsory voting should be there. But I think it depends on the people again. There can be some plebiscite to be conducted or anything like whether local government elections are also compulsory or not. So I'm not exactly sure how does it work. So if it is compulsory, then we need to organize proper election booths throughout the state, different local governments, and it incurs a lot of expenditure in comparison to the postal ballot. Is it worth spending that much money for that? The postal ballot is sufficient, but we have to make postal ballot as compulsory. Not everybody knows how to do the postal ballot or something like that. So I will leave to the community in this area whether we should make it compulsory or not. I am not 100% sure we should make it or compulsory or not, but we are lucky to have state and federal elections compulsory voting.
You talked about the community putting forward and the policies coming from there, and your idea is to have quarterly meetings with your ward members. Which is one policy idea that you'll be passionately advocating for in your first ward wise meeting?
This is one of the most passionate one, right? Quarterly ward forums, and I got very good response. And even now, almost every week or 10 days, I'm organizing coffee catch-ups. This Sunday, I'm having a community catch-up. I'm calling it as a community meeting or town hall meeting. So at the Canning Bridge community space. So morning at 10:30 to 12 o'clock. That Canning Bridge community space. So I'm inviting the residents, particularly those very near to Mount Pleasant, Applecross, and Brentwood, to come over. And I would like to provide them what other community members given the priority and what I'm thinking of, what their thinking is. So that to get a three-dimensional approach to that, so what are the priorities there? So listening to the community is very, very important. Other thing, people and the community, they are thinking that there is no transparency. Transparency is very, very, very important. So what the local government, the city government is doing, that should be visible. Thanks to the IT now, everything can be available online. So what is the progress that we have done so far on these projects? How much money allocated? What has been spent? And why this is? What is the percentage progress against the target? That is a transparent. No, no community member has to call or check or anything like that. It should be available on the website. So that is one thing. Regarding the budget, why can't we openly show the amounts allocated for various activities? It's clear. Like, for example, there's a park constructed. Park construction of the park is very good, and we are engaging a contractor. We are consulting, and we are doing that. For the inauguration of the park, how much money can be spent on that? Do we need to do so much grand inauguration, advertisements, and all? That money is people's money. This is small example I'm giving. It's not exactly, but those sort of transparency is required. It's after paying a lot of income tax, after paying GST, whatever money is left, people are paying the rates. So it means that we should be extra cautious in the spending of the money.
There's one more big question before we go on to the smaller questions. There's a big push in, I think, South Australia and Melbourne, where they are saying that within the local government rates, we also have to pay the state emergency services rates, which go to state emergency services, which is actually a state government tax that the local government collects. Do you think it's a correct practice where local government collects the taxes, but it actually goes to the state government? It doesn't gets to the local government to be spent locally for the benefits in their area.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Thanks that we are in Western Australia. I don't think that is required in Western Australia. And for more than 30 years in mining industry, and we are leading the country in contribution, the mining industry, and we are getting a good fair share of our GST, and we got very good budget for the state government, and I think the state government is very capable of running their services here in Western Australia. So we don't need to do anything like that. As of now, even the rate payers for the rates, they are saying that we are getting a lot of money on the rate payers. So that should not be increased at all. So I'm okay with the CPI, consumer price, and we should not combine all these extra expenditure or extra services from the ratepayers to pay in the rates. So there are sufficient royalties and GST coming to the state government. Once again, thanks to Western Australia and its economy, we are doing good.
Thank you for that. A few small questions before we let you go. I think your time is very important. You're a busy man. So
Thank you.
let's do some small questions. What's your favorite spot in Perth for a quiet walk?
Oh, the Esplanade in basically Mount Pleasant to all the way up to Applecross, that area. So this is a beautiful, beautiful. If you go to Deepwater Point, you'll really love that. That the way. So it's like a peninsula looking almost all three sides. If you go to Harcourt Reserve, in Applecross, if you stand on top of that, there's a beautiful viewpoints there. You can see water on all the three sides, and there are walking paths there. So the city of Melville is one of the beautiful city, no doubt in that. Out of that, Applecross-Mount Place and Brentwood, the best.
One book that changed the way you think.
There are many books in Indian languages as well as in English. I think it's difficult for me to pinpoint one book. So if I talk about any money matters or anything like that, you may think that Surya is after the money. But personal development is very, very important. Like from childhood, my dad, when I was a small kid, so my dad has given me Dale Carney's book, how to win people and influence people and win them. So those sort of books.
Very
So
good
Dale
book.
Carney's, yeah, that's an excellent book.
Very
So
good book.
my interest is basically to understand people. So that's my success bit. So I do developmental books particularly, but of course, money management, being an MBA, how to manage the infrastructure, those are all books I read.
Tea or coffee?
I'm not a tea person. Coffee also I have rarely, because if need to go for a long drive from here, say Albany, I should not get nap while driving, so I will have a coffee and do that. Tea, I'm not a tea person, but most of the Indians, they love tea. So even when my guests used to come to my office back home in India, so I used to tell "Saab ko chai pilao," means get some tea to the Saab. So that was the word I used to use, but I never was drinking tea. I'm a more, if you compare between coffee and tea, I'm a more coffee.
A community leader you deeply admire.
Yeah, there are many, many leaders. So again, it's very, very difficult to mention any particular name. I think I would like to avoid that. Suppose if I am going to talk about international figures or Australian, people may attribute I belong to so and so party or I belong to this.
Sure.
But those who worked really for the country, like Mahatma Gandhi, for example, he, without anything, means with non-violence, he got freedom to the country. So there are many leaders. So many leaders have provided voting rights to women, for example. I'm not going to name them, but back home in USA as well as in Australia, that's really, really, we are all equal. I say, I advocate an 18 years boy or 19 years boy are exactly equal. So there's no difference in that. Some people have advocated that everybody is equal. I respect them.
And the last one, the most underrated thing about local government.
Most underrated thing, many people think that local government is not working. They don't work at all. Too much bureaucracy. I can't approach them. That's not right. They do a lot of work. So they work very hard. So we should appreciate sometimes. We should say that whatever is right, that is right. So they try to do what within their purview, within their provisions, what they would like to do. We got excellent officers in the local government. We got excellent councillors. We got excellent mayors. So they put their, in front of their family, they put all this community service is the number one goal. So some people, Though, suppose, for example, some of the officers in the local government, if they go to mining industry, they may get better salaries, almost double the salary. Still, they think that they are giving back to the community. They are just helping the community to grow. That's the reason. That's one thing. People's perception. The councillors don't work. They work for the lobbyists, and the planning people, they sleep. That's not right. They work very hard. They are readily available to help. Only thing, there will be any organization anywhere, there is some percentage who are not properly working, but we should not attribute that to everyone.
On that note, a big thank you, Suryaji, for taking the time out and sharing your views and plans for your local elections.
Thank you, Nirmalji. Can I say one few words before we close
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. I would also like you to share how people can reach out to you and find you to share or participate or volunteer.
Sure. Means I'm available to the community round the clock, and I got a dedicated website, ambati.com.au, ambati.com.au. It got all the links, my contacts and everything. My mobile number, it's my personal mobile number. It's always with me. I carry them 24/7. So anyone can call by WhatsApp or by phone. So that's the other way. And I'm sincere. Australia has given in the last 18 years so much. And also I have provided so much of employment with our small businesses, with the service to the people in the mining industry, other industries, with various companies. I have created so much of employment. This is the time for me to look at wider community, working for my people. So I don't need anything from the people. I would like to give, I would like to represent, look after my own people. So I'm telling that. So I'm available anytime, not just Applecross-Mount Pleasant Ward, anywhere in the city of Melville or anywhere. Call me. You're welcome. I will try whatever I can do, or I can guide you what is required. And also, I'll stand for what's right for our community. I'm not going to work for any lobbyists. I'm not going to work for any personal interest. It's for the pure community service. Every dollar of yours will be treated as the community money. Hope I am clear. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Nirmalji and the entire team, to address you all. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.